The contract slides across the granite countertop with a soft whisper that sounds like a threat. I stare at it, my hands still damp from washing the breakfast dishes. Dishes I cooked for, dishes I cleaned, dishes that belong to my daughter and her husband in this gleaming suburban palace they call home. David leans back in his chair, fingers steepled like some corporate executive about to close a deal. His eyes hold that calculating gleam I've learned to recognize over the past 2 years, the one that appears whenever he's about to present something unreasonable as perfectly logical. Mom, starting next month you'll pay rent. The words hang in the air like smoke. I freeze, the dish towel still clutched in my hands. Behind me, I hear Jessica shift uncomfortably, but she doesn't speak. She never speaks when David makes his pronouncements. He continues, his voice smooth as oil. This house has 4 bedrooms, a living room, and all the smart appliances. If you rent just one room, it still fetches a high price on the market. We're only charging you half the going rate. Really, we're doing you a favor. A favor. The word tastes bitter in my mind. I set the towel down carefully, deliberately, buying myself time to process what I'm hearing. My grandson, 2 months old, sleeping upstairs in the nursery I helped paint, needs me. Or so they said when they begged me to move in. David's voice cuts through my thoughts again. These first 2 months, since you're helping with the baby, we won't charge you. Think of it as a trial period. From next month, rent is due on the 1st. We've outlined everything in the contract, very fair terms. I look down at the paper. Neat columns. Legal language, a line for my signature at the bottom. My name typed out, Margaret Collins. Not Mom, not Maggie. Just another tenant. My mind races backward, tumbling through memories like falling downstairs. It was 5 years ago when Jessica called me, her voice small and frightened. She and David had just gotten married in a courthouse ceremony. No frills, no family, just 2 kids in love with empty pockets and big dreams. Mom, the landlord wants 3 times the rent as proof of income. We don't have it. We can't get the apartment without a co-signer. I'd driven 3 hours that same day, walked into that landlord's office, and signed my name on the dotted line. I put my credit, my security, my trust on paper for them. The apartment was in a rough neighborhood, 4th floor walk up, no elevator. But it was theirs, their first home. I remember David shaking my hand, earnest then, grateful. Thank you, Mom. We won't let you down. 6 months later, Jessica called again. Mom, David lost his job. We can't make rent. Can you help? I helped. $200 here, $500 there, groceries when their cupboards were bare, gas money when their tank was empty. I told myself it was temporary, that young couples struggle, that this is what mothers do. Then came the car. Their beat-up sedan died on the highway, stranded them for hours. I found a used Honda Civic, nothing fancy, but reliable. I paid cash, handed them the keys. We'll pay you back, David promised. I waved him off. Family doesn't keep tabs. How naive those words sound now, echoing back at me across the years. David's business venture came next. He was so excited, so convinced he'd found the golden ticket. An online marketplace for handmade goods, something about algorithms and viral marketing that I didn't fully understand but wanted to support. Just a small loan, Mom. $5,000 to get the website built and inventory started. We'll triple it in 6 months. I wrote the check. I stayed up nights helping him write business proposals, my reading glasses sliding down my nose as I typed emails to potential investors. My fingers ached from the keyboard, but I kept going. This was my daughter's future, my son-in-law's dream. The business lasted 4 months before it collapsed. The website sat frozen in cyberspace, a monument to ambition without execution. The inventory gathered dust in their cramped apartment. David never mentioned the 5,000 again. It simply evaporated like morning dew in the California sun. But I kept helping. When they fought, and they fought often in those early years, I was the mediator. I'd arrive with homemade lasagna or chicken soup, sit at their tiny kitchen table and listen to Jessica cry about money while David paced and ranted about unfair circumstances. "You're so lucky to have your mum," David would say, patting my hand. "Not everyone has this kind of support." I thought he meant emotional support, family bonds, love. Now I understand he meant free labour and open wallet. "Mum, did you hear me?" Jessica's voice pulls me back to the present. She's standing in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, her arms crossed over her chest. She's lost most of the baby weight already back to her pre-pregnancy figure. She looks like the girl I raised, but sounds like a stranger. "The rent, Mom. David explained it. It's only fair." Only fair. I turn to look at my daughter, really look at her. When did she learn to parrot his words? When did her voice become an echo of his? "Fair," I repeat slowly. "Let me make sure I understand. I moved here 2 months ago because you begged me to help with the baby. You said you couldn't manage alone. You said you needed me." Jessica's eyes dart to David, seeking permission to respond. He nods slightly. "We do need you, Mum. But we also need to run our household responsibly." David says. I interrupt her, something I rarely do. "What do you say, Jessica?" She blinks, confused by the question. I say the same thing. We're a team." The word team lands like a slap. I'm not part of their team. I'm a resource to be managed, monetized. I look around the living room, the 70-inch television mounted on the wall. I helped pick that out, contributed $500 because they said the smart TV would be educational for when the baby got older. The voice-controlled lights, the smart thermostat, the designer furniture, this gleaming shrine to modern comfort. I think about my own house 40 minutes away, smaller, older, but paid off. Mine, no mortgage, no landlord, no son-in-law sliding contracts across counters. "How much?" I ask quietly. David's face lights up. He thinks I'm capitulating. $800 a month. That includes utilities and Wi-Fi access. Truly, Mom, you won't find anything comparable for that price. I checked comparable rentals in the area, and one bedroom goes for $1,600 easy. $800. I spend less than that on groceries for myself for 2 months. I run the numbers in my head. My social security, my late husband's pension, my modest savings. I could afford it, technically. But the amount isn't what makes my chest tight and my vision blur at the edges. It's the transaction itself, the reduction of love to ledger entries. "I see," I say softly. David mistakes my tone for agreement. He slides a pen across the counter. "Just sign at the bottom and we're all set. First payment due February 1st. My hand reaches for the pen. Jessica relaxes visibly, relief washing over her features. David starts to smile. I pick up the pen. I look at the signature line. Then I set the pen down and push the contract back across the counter. No. The word hangs in the air, small but solid as stone. David's smile freezes. "I'm sorry, what?" I said no. My voice is steady now, stronger. "I won't be signing this." Jessica steps forward, alarm creeping into her expression. "Mom, you have to. You can't just stay here for free. That's not how things work." "You're right," I say, turning to face her fully. "That's not how things work, so let me tell you how things actually worked." I walk to my purse, hanging on the hook by the door. I pull out my phone and open my banking app. Years of statements, transfers, checks, written and cashed. I've kept every record, not because I plan to demand repayment, but because I'm organised. Because I'm careful. 5 years ago, I co-signed your apartment lease. When you couldn't pay rent, I gave you $3,000 over 6 months. Here are the transfer records. I scroll through my phone, showing Jessica the dates and amounts. Her face pales. Then came the car. $4,000. Cash. The title's still in my name, did you know that? You never transferred it. David's jaw tightens. "We were going to..." "The business loan. $5,000. Never repaid, never even discussed again." And that's not counting the groceries, the gas money, the countless meals I cooked and brought over, the furniture I helped you buy for this very house. Jessica reaches out as if to take my phone, then drops her hand. Mum? We never asked you to keep track of... I wasn't keeping track. The words come out sharper than I intended, but I don't soften them. I was helping my family. I was being a mother. I never expected repayment because that's what family does. We help each other. Exactly. David jumps in, his voice taking on that reasonable tone he uses when he's about to twist logic into pretzels. And now we're asking you to help by contributing to the household expenses. It's the same thing. It is not the same thing. I look him straight in the eye, and for the first time since I've known him, I see him flinch. When I helped you, I asked for nothing in return. No contracts, no payment schedules, no trial periods. I gave freely because I love my daughter and I wanted to support your marriage. And we appreciate that, David says quickly. But appreciation doesn't pay the mortgage. Neither did you, apparently. Not without my help. The silence that follows is thick enough to choke on. Jessica's face crumbles, tears gathering in her eyes. But she doesn't defend me. She doesn't tell David he's wrong. She just stands there, caught between her husband and her mother, and chooses him through her silence. It's that silence that breaks something in me. Not anger, I'm too tired for anger, just a clean, clear understanding of where I stand. I'm going to pack my things, I say calmly. Jessica's tears spill over. Mum, don't be dramatic. Just sign the contract. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, sweetheart. You've made your choice. You've chosen to see me as a tenant instead of your mother, as a resource instead of family, and I'm choosing to go home. You can't just leave, David snaps, his composure finally cracking. What about the baby? Jessica needs help. That's why you're here. No. I shake my head slowly. That's why you told me I was here. But what you needed was free childcare and household help. Now you want to charge me for the privilege of providing it. I may be old, David, but I'm not stupid. I climb the stairs to the guest room. My room, I'd started to think of it. A mistake. Nothing here is mine. The room is tastefully decorated in greys and whites, impersonal as a hotel. I pull my suitcase from the closet and begin folding my clothes. Behind me, I hear footsteps. Jessica appears in the doorway, her face blotchy from crying. Mom, please, don't go. I need you. I pause, holding one of my sweaters. Do you, or does David need me? That's not fair, isn't it? I resume packing. When was the last time you disagreed with him, Jessica? When was the last time you told him he was wrong? She opens her mouth, closes it. No answer comes. I raised you to be strong, I continue softly, to stand up for yourself, to know your worth. Somewhere along the way you forgot those lessons. I love him, Mom. Marriage is about compromise. Compromise, yes. Becoming a doormat? No. I zip the suitcase closed. There's a difference between supporting your husband and losing yourself in him. You don't understand. You and Dad had it easy. Times are different now. The invocation of my late husband, her father, makes me stop. I set the suitcase down and walk to where Jessica stands. Your father and I struggled too. We ate rice and beans for months when we were first married. We drove a car held together with duct tape and prayer. But you know what we never did? We never asked our parents to pay our way, and then charged them for the privilege of helping us. Jessica's lip trembles. David just wants us to be financially responsible. By exploiting me? That's not financial responsibility, honey. That's greed dressed up in business casual. I pick up my suitcase and walk past her, down the stairs. David is waiting at the bottom, his arms crossed. You're making a mistake, he says coldly. Jessica needs her mother. The baby needs his grandmother. Then maybe you should have thought of that before you tried to turn me into a revenue stream. I reach for my coat on the hook. He shifts, blocking the door partially. You're being selfish. After everything we've given you. Given me? I laugh, a sound without humour. David, I'd love to hear what exactly you think you've given me. A place in our home, Access to our family, the chance to be part of your grandson's life. Each word is like a small detonation. Access. Chance. As if my relationship with my own grandchild is a privilege he controls. Move, I say quietly. He doesn't budge. 800 is more than fair. But fine, we'll negotiate. 600. That's our final offer. I look at this man my daughter married. Really look at him. I see the designer watch on his wrist. A gift to himself when he got his promotion. I see the expensive haircut, the tailored shirt. I see a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. I don't negotiate with people who see me as merchandise, I tell him. Now move. Something in my voice, maybe the steel that comes from 52 years of life, of burying a husband, of raising a daughter alone, of surviving, makes him step aside. I open the door. Cold January air rushes in, sharp and cleansing. Mom! Jessica's voice cracks behind me. Please. Don't go like this. I turn back one last time. She's standing at the top of the stairs, her hands clutching the railing like she might fall without it. My baby girl, my only child. I love you, I tell her. I will always love you, but I won't let you use me. When you're ready to have a relationship based on love instead of transactions, you know where to find me. I walk out into the cold afternoon, loading my suitcase into my car. My hands shake as I start the engine, but my resolve doesn't waver. And the drive home feels longer than 40 minutes. I watch the suburban landscape give way to my own neighbourhood. Older, quieter trees that have stood for decades instead of saplings planted by developers. My house looks smaller than I remember, but welcoming. The porch light is on because I set it on a timer. Smart, but in a different way than David's voice controlled everything. Smart like planning ahead. Smart like taking care of yourself. Inside, everything is exactly as I left it. My reading chair by the window, my late husband's navy photograph on the mantel, the quilt my mother made, draped over the sofa. The silence isn't empty, it's peaceful. I make myself tea and sit in my chair, watching the sun set through the window. My phone buzzes. A text from Jessica. Please come back. We can talk about this. But there's nothing to talk about. Not yet. Not until she's ready to see what happened clearly. Over the next few days, my phone continues to buzz. Jessica sends photos of the baby, captions about how much he's growing, how much he misses his grandmother. Emotional manipulation dressed up as family updates. David sends a revised contract, $600, then $500, then $4. Each reduction makes me sadder, not because of the money, but because he still doesn't understand. He thinks this is a negotiation. He doesn't grasp that he's broken something that can't be fixed with better terms. I don't respond to any of it. On the fourth day, my neighbour Evelyn knocks on my door. She's 73, sharp as a tack, and has been watching over me since my husband died. Heard you're back, she says, walking in without invitation and heading straight for my kitchen to make coffee. Thought you were helping with the grandbaby. I tell her everything. She listens without interrupting, her weathered hands wrapped around her coffee mug. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. You did right, she finally says. Hard, but right. It doesn't feel right. It feels like I abandoned my daughter. You didn't abandon her. You refused to enable her. Evelyn fixes me with those keen blue eyes. There's a difference. She's a grown woman making grown woman choices. Bad choices, but hers to make. You can't protect her from the consequences of marrying a man who sees people as assets. She loves him. Maybe. But does she love herself? Because that's what you taught her today, that she should love herself enough not to be used. The words settle over me like a blanket, not comfortable but necessary. 2 weeks pass. I establish a new routine. Morning walks, afternoons reading the books I never had time for, evenings watching old movies. I meet friends for lunch, volunteer at the library, attend my book club meetings that I'd missed while playing live-in nanny. My life is mine again. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss my grandson. I dream about his tiny fingers, his new baby smell, the weight of him in my arms. That missing is a physical ache. Jessica calls on a Tuesday evening. Not a text. An actual call. Mom? Her voice is different. Tired. Strained. Hi, sweetheart. Can we talk? In person? I could come to you? Of course. She arrives an hour later without David, without the baby. Just her, looking exhausted and older than 28. We sit in my living room, tea between us, and at first neither of us speaks. He doesn't get it, Jessica finally says. I've tried to explain it to him, but he just doesn't understand why you left. Do you understand? She looks at her hands. I'm starting to. Evelyn came by yesterday. She didn't hold back. I smile slightly. Evelyn wouldn't. She asked me if I'd charge you rent if you needed help. And I said, of course not. You're my mother. And she said then, why did I let David do it? Jessica's voice cracks. I didn't have an answer, Mom. I didn't. You were being a good wife. No, she shakes her head. I was being a doormat. You were right. I can't even remember the last time I disagreed with him about anything important. I just go along. Keep the peace. And how's that working out? She laughs, but it's bitter. The baby screams every night. David can't handle it. He gets frustrated and goes to sleep in the guest room, your room. I'm doing everything alone. The dishes pile up. The laundry is everywhere. I'm so tired I can barely think. Part of me wants to jump up and offer to help. That's the mother instinct hardwired deep. But I stay seated. I gave him back the contract last night, Jessica continues, told him to throw it away. He said I was being emotional. We had the biggest fight we've ever had. She looks up at me, her eyes red. He said if I wasn't going to be reasonable, maybe I should go stay with you for a while, like that's a punishment. What did you say? I said maybe I should. Then I packed a bag and left. My heart clenches. And the baby? With David's mother. He called her when he realized I was serious. She's not happy with either of us. We sit in silence. I want to fix this for her, to make it better, to solve the problem, but I can't. This is her marriage, her life, her choice. I'm sorry. Mom, she whispers, I'm so sorry. You've given us everything and I let him treat you like a business transaction. That's not what family is. No, I agree gently. It's not. Can you forgive me? I reach across and take her hand. I already have. But Jessica, forgiveness doesn't mean going back to how things were. You need to decide what you want your marriage to look like, what you're willing to accept. I don't know what I want anymore. Then maybe it's time to figure it out. She stays the night in my guest room, the room that used to be hers as a child. In the morning, we make pancakes together like we used to on Saturday mornings when she was small. David texted, she says, checking her phone. He wants to talk. Do you want to? She considers this. Eventually, but not yet. I need to think first. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need. She hugs me then, fierce and tight. Thank you for not letting me use you. That's a weird thing to thank someone for, isn't it? Not weird, I tell her. Love sometimes means knowing when to say no. I don't know how Jessica's story ends. She's still figuring that out. She's seeing a counselor, working through what she wants, who she is separate from being David's wife. The baby comes to visit every weekend, and I hold my grandson and sing him songs and love him without condition or contract. David sent me an apology text. It was formal, careful, probably drafted and redrafted. I didn't respond. Some things can't be fixed with words alone. But here's what I know. I have my life back. My time is mine. My home is mine. My choices are mine. I visit Jessica and the baby on my terms when I want to, because I want to, not because I'm obligated or employed or renting space in someone else's life. Last week, Jessica asked me about my husband, her father, how we made our marriage work. We respected each other, I told her. We saw each other as partners, not assets. We never kept score. And when one of us was wrong, we admitted it. She nodded slowly, absorbing this. And Mom? How do you know when it's time to stop trying? I thought about that carefully. When you've lost yourself completely, when you can't remember who you were before, when love feels like servitude. Am I there? Only you can answer that, sweetheart. Today is Saturday. I'm meeting Evelyn for lunch, then going to the library for my book club. Tonight I'll watch whatever I want on television, in my own house without anyone's permission or judgment. This is what freedom looks like. Not perfect, not without pain, but mine. And when my daughter calls, and she will because we're working on rebuilding our relationship on a foundation of mutual respect instead of exploitation, I'll answer. But I'll answer as Margaret Collins, woman, individual, person of worth. Not as a resource to be managed, not as help to be hired. As family. Real family. The kind that doesn't come with contracts or trial periods or rental rates. The kind that's built on love freely given. And freely, finally, I choose to live.